So looking now to a question about minimum weight. This is from PRHS Fan Club Tube section. And the question is, why did the FA change the minimum weight for the cars?
That's a very good question. First of all, the call it simplification of the power unit 2026 versus previous generation came with partially in some areas some significant weight reduction. So it was appealing. More importantly, the cars have added weight constantly over the last 20 years or plus, and it has become a source of, and in my view, rightly so, a source of criticism from the drivers, because it makes a car less agile, less nice to drive for them, and to really show they're the best drivers in the world. So one of the clear targets was with this new set of regulations that is aimed to be also a bit simpler on some areas, to get a system to reduce the weight of the cars. The target we set 2 years ago were ambitious, but the numbers were the result of many iterations with the teams, what they thought was challenging but possible, and we went all in on that bet, which has also the beauty to partially, even if the step is maybe still not big enough for the drivers, to make the car lighter, but also to open eventually a slightly other avenue of competition where weight is not just about the power unit and the aerodynamics as well as the tire, but there is also another avenue, which is weight, which especially nowadays when you see the road cars and the increase of electrification in most parts of the world, weight is an issue. And every road manufacturer is ready to pay quite a lot to save weight on the cars because of the penalty coming from the battery. So it allows us also to send a signal that that I think has some validity in the outside world.
We want to go much more in the future for weight reduction. This is the first step, as Jan said, but even this first step, initial comments from drivers is that they feel it. They do feel the cars to be more nimble. It's not just words. They do actually feel it, in their body. So I think that is a positive initial feedback.
And there's also a challenge, is there not, in adding safety measures, which in some cases adds a little bit of extra weight, and balancing that against reducing the overall weight of the car? That's also been a challenge for the FIA, I understand?
Yeah, I mean, safety is first. I think we are motor racing is inherently dangerous. Cars are doing 300, 350 kph and racing each other. It will always be more dangerous than snooker. But I think we can be quite proud in the FIA, a lot of people who've worked on safety, and you have cars that are so fundamentally safe when accidents do happen, but while remaining a dangerous sport. So that will never be compromised. And a big part of this weight increase that Jan mentioned over the last 20 years has been because of safety. The halo, stronger nose, stronger sides, everything on the car is much more robust. And that's why we have drivers feeling a lot safer. But yes, that has had the negative of increasing the weight, and that's what we're trying to claw back, but never compromise on safety.
We have a question from Memo0610 MV1, who watched our video, our technical explainer video, a couple of days ago, and noticed some flashing lights on the mirrors and wants to know what the lights are for.
These are the lateral safety light, which we have introduced this year as a new safety enhancement feature. And essentially, the idea is if the car is stopped on track and eventually would not necessarily be forward-facing as you would hope, would eventually be stopped on car perpendicular to the main driving direction in low visibility condition like rain, the following drivers will not see the safety light, which is on the rear wing end plate and on the rear crusher. So we have added lights that will start flashing if the car is stopped to effectively send a signal to following car, which under those conditions, under low visibility, is a safety enhancement, because it will warn the driver, which might not have a 200-meter visibility, something is wrong.
MJ Handler 11 is intrigued to know more about the modes that we've introduced. We've talked about boost, overtake, recharge, etc. Maybe Nikolas or Jan, you could just walk us through those modes.
Yeah, sure. The most visible for people and one which is highly discussed in the press and various forum is the straight mode, which is essentially opening the rear wing and dropping the front wing flap in order to, on the straight line, minimize the drag so that the engine is not burning the little energy it has to fight against the parasitic aero drag. So that's probably the most visible, which will be in dry condition actuated on almost all the long straight lines, and sometimes when the car can take it also in some high-speed cornering. Then we've got the overtake. The overtake essentially replaces what the DRS used to do, which is for a following car that is close enough to the leading car. If a given threshold 1 second is being reached, then the following car will be allowed to deploy normally more electrical power for the lap to have a chance to overtake. And obviously, because he's got more power and therefore he will burn more energy, he can recover half a megajoule more in the lap. The overtake is an aid for the following cars to eventually have a chance to overtake at the end of the straight line. And then we've got the boost. The boost is already existing on this hybrid car and has been used by the driver on a regular basis. It is to try to make it easy to understand. The car has a given amount of energy it can deploy on every lap, which is kind of the result of an optimization. To be quickest around this lap, you distribute the energy that way. Now, normally, there is a little bit that is being taken away and left at the disposal of the driver so that he can decide about a fraction of the total energy to be deployed how he thinks it's best, because he might be following someone, there might be a bump, there might have been something happening along the track where he feels I need now a little bit punctually a little bit of extra energy, which is doing through that boost, which is now becoming more visible to differentiate it also from the overtake. But this boost per se was already existing on the previous cars and was highly used by the drivers.
Great. That's very clear. Question from Ramirez Rendon Jordan, who asks, how different will the aerodynamic load be compared to the 2025 cars?
Less. In a simple words, the cars are running less downforce. It's a conscious decision that was made. Number one, we should be careful drawing parallel to 2025, which was the last year of a cycle that was relatively stable, and every year teams are adding performance. So we use the opportunity to reset the performance a bit lower. Also because it is simply another car concept than what we had before. So to have comparable speed trace in terms of straight line maximum speed, cornering speed, taking into account also the reduced weight, we saw the opportunity to also reduce, hopefully, the total aero load they will be achieving, which helps also for weight saving and NN. But above all, in my opinion, will allow for the very good drivers to shine, because driving a car with less aero load is trickier, and it's you are more prone to lock tires in braking. Yeah, there are a lot of things which gets trickier, and that's where a top deluxe driver among the 22 Formula One driver might be able to shine more than when he's got an incredible amount of aero downforce as the previous cars had.
I mean, some corners obviously will have their cornering speeds reduced a bit, but we should not forget also that some parts which previously were
Flat.
almost straight because they were flat out. There was no skill. You would just drive through a corner, through a kink. Now become corners where skill is important. So I think that's also to add to.
Yeah.
How much would you say, Jan, the reduction? 20%-ish?
Yeah, 20-25%.
We have a question from Lucas, who's a French YouTuber who's known to us. He's also interested in the aerodynamic aspects of the regulations, in particular the front wing, and he's intrigued to know whether, if a team's called in by the race director or if the team in fact calls the driver in to change a damaged front wing, because of the active aero in the front wing, will it take longer for the front wing to be changed?
Once mechanics will have been drilled and got used to the new size, the new shape, the new weight of the wing, I would be very surprised because all the systems are relying on hydraulic power to actuate the front flap. Sometimes the unit will be in the nose, sometimes it will be on the front wing main plane, sometimes it might remain even in the chassis, but so also at the chassis interface there will be a quick connector, a dry brake, and these things are fairly robust if properly engineered. So I think there will be more an adaptation of the mechanics crew to the new size, which is less voluminous, where inherently I think they will now get quicker than they were with the previous cars. And once they will have properly understood where the dry brake is about training and drilling that you come nicely and hit the feature, and the same when you remove. So I don't think it will play a big role.
And the introduction of active aero, was it motivated in some way by the dirty air issue that...
Not completely, no. I mean, it's been more to do with matching the aerodynamics and the low drag necessary with the engine as part of all the efficiency and the electrification. In terms of the aero concept, which a lot of people have been working for, and reducing the dirty air behind the car, that is more the feature of the aerodynamics, the front wing, the boards, how the floor is operating. All of these things seek to have a cleaner flow for the following car, and therefore able to follow more closely. I hope that will be a very visible feature early on.
Another question from Lucas. If one driver's using the boost mode, does it cancel out the overtake mode for another driver?
Probably not. Because the extra power and extra energy the following car gets is on a full lap is more. So even if on a specific straight line the leading car would try to defend, burning some of its energy to try to come as much as possible counter the attack, he will be missing that energy somewhere else around the track. Because he still has given energy since he's a leading car, so it will just normally postpone, and the following car will have another opportunity, maybe a couple of corners later. So it cannot be, if someone was to really counter it 1-for-1, the rest of the lap will be very tricky for the leading car, and there will be another opportunity, if not several other opportunities, to overtake for the other one.